Yeah, so whenever I talk about what is happening in terms of quality of construction of these roads, you have government supporters in the comment section ranting about Granger this and Burnham that, and what did Burnham do and what did Granger do, which is completely beside the point. This does not condone, this is no excuse for spending billions of taxpayers' dollars to build very poor infrastructure. And actually, billions are being spent. So recently, I posted a snapshot, a summary of the fourth quarter report of the Natural Resource Fund from the Bank of Guyana. Remember, the Bank of Guyana keeps track of the oil earnings in the Natural Resource Fund, which is our sovereign wealth fund. This is all of the sales and the royalties from oil are deposited in a Federal Reserve Bank account in New York. And on a quarterly basis, that report tells you the inflows, how much money was put into the account in the last 3 months, how much was withdrawn from the account in the last 3 months, how much interest was earned, how much of it was royalty, and so on, how much of it was from profits, the sale of oil, profit oil. And what that report has shown over the last year from 2024 is that the government of Guyana spent $1.5 billion, 1.5 billion US dollars from that fund, from the Sovereign Wealth Fund. I remember when this culvert did not exist, we actually looked at this culvert from the point it was created. It's another plane rising up from Ogle. It's another Skyvan leaving Ogle Airport. Yes. So I remember when this culvert was being built. If you go back a year or two ago, you'll find from in the archives this culvert being built. I remember jumping over it, but it was just a box of concrete on the ground, and we've seen it at various stages. So now it is completed, and there's water flowing through it, underneath it, and now there's a road over it, and that road connects to the East Coast Road. So the point I was making is that the government has spent 1.5 billion US dollars from the Sovereign Wealth Fund. And I presume that some of that money was spent on road construction. However, the money to build this road was a loan from the Indian government. So we know that this is not where the Sovereign Wealth Fund money was spent. This is actually money from a loan by the Indian government. And that loan came with the terms that the contractors to build the road must be Indian uh, contractors, and that is exactly what is happening. This road is being built by Indian contractors, and they are Indian nationals who are working on the ground here. They've completed the connection to Ogle Airport. It's not yet open. You can see the entrance to Ogle Airport and the various exit ramps. They're also going to connect this road to another access road, and at this point you can see it goes all the way to the East Coast from this point. Now straight ahead, that is the AC Marriott Hotel. AC Marriott Hotel, they have actually built a fence around the hotel since last time you were here. So what you can see has happened is that they've built a fence around the hotel property. That's what we can see in the foreground here. And they've built, it's not yet painted, but they've actually taken down the construction fence. Remember, fact that we couldn't see beyond this fence in the past is because they actually had a um, construction fence that was opaque. So that is what is different. There's also this building has also been completed, well, closer to completion. Again, I don't know if this is a commercial building or a residential building, but it is also being completed around the same time as the AC Marriott. And this access road is now close to traffic, I guess, for completion, but it's also a lot further along, including the median, further along than it was the last time we were here. We're just going to take a closer look at the AC Marriott to see what they're doing on the property, whether they're putting in amenities like a swimming pool, tennis courts, and stuff like that. They actually have enough space to do that, but maybe they're just putting in a parking lot. I think maybe they're building a parking lot and a driveway to the hotel, which is probably going to be, the entrance is probably going to be somewhere around here. And so they're gonna put in a drive and a parking lot. This is what is happening here at the AC Marriott. Seem to have done significant amount of prep work. The fence is complete. They must have built that fence on the inside of that construction fence that was opaque. So that when they took down the construction fence, this external fence is already built. But this is what that looks like. And of course, straight ahead, that is the white building in the distance. That's the new maternity hospital, new Ogle maternity hospital. Also seems to be close to completion. Yes, what they're building here looks like a parking lot. Looks as if these guys are laying out a parking lot for the AC Marriott Hotel. And these guys are laying out a parking lot. The exterior work on the hotel seems to be completed. So they seem to have completed exterior. Although none of the painting has been done yet, you can see some staircases on the inside of the glass wall. And I assume this side of the hotel would be the back, the rear end, facing the highway, because there are hardly any windows. Well, what we're looking at in this end is probably the physical plant. If they have a convention center or dining hall, might be also in this part of the property. And the kitchen and bathrooms for the lobby area would also be in this section. You can see they're already putting on the hangers for the exterior facade. They're probably going to hang tiles off of those vertical metal bars, and they started to add colored tiles, it seems, to the lobby area. I assume that this section that we're looking at is going to become the lobby area for the new hotel, new AC Marriott Hotel. So this is what the hotel looks like now. It now has some color. They've actually laid tiles. They've laid tiles over this is the east facing surface. All right, they've laid some tiles along it, east facing surface of the hotel. And those tiles are a very dark gray charcoal or black. They started reading as black in this light, but there's a charcoal and light gray, very dark gray and light gray. And the tiles in front have a kind of uh, clay color, the color of clay. So those are clay tiles, I assume, or the color of clay, kind of orangish, pale orange color. And I guess this is the physical plant. You can see some tanks there. These are these high pressure tanks for water supply, I suppose, to give you pressurized water in the building. And of course, these are balconies. You can see most of the rooms, if we are looking at the rooms, most of the rooms have balconies. And those are half balconies at the eastern side of the building. There's a fence here, so I don't know if there's going to be an entrance from this highway. It doesn't seem as if they're going to actually have an entrance from this highway. In fact, in the beginning, I thought they were going to put in an entrance for you to get onto the property from the highway, but I don't think that's going to happen now. But we're actually walking on the East Coast bypass road. It seems as if they've made some progress. They've covered the surface of the road now with asphalt, and they've rolled it. It's actually quite smooth, definitely different from the concussion road. And I'm telling you, this is actually a contrast, a sharp contrast from what was built on the East Bank Bypass Road or Heroes Highway. Heroes Highway does not have this asphalt. And in fact, that is why it is not smooth. It is in fact very bumpy. It's concrete that is hardened without being smoothed. And there was no attempt afterwards to, cover it with a layer of smooth concrete, which is what you would have to do, for example, if you're building the floor in your house, right? Let's say you were building the floor in your garage with concrete. You would have to put a layer of smooth concrete, find a way to smooth it, or maybe just use some, what is it, epoxy is what they use now, acrylic paint to produce the smoothness. But that has not been done on the Heroes Highway. Therefore, what you have is the concussion road. We're now a little distance away. You can take a look at the AC Marriott Hotel. That's the AC Marriott Hotel now from south, looking at the south end of the hotel. As you can see, its profile is thinner, narrower on the south end, and wide against the east facing and the west facing end of the building. This is going to be the place to stay if you are traveling out of Ogle Airport and you need to spend a night in the area before you travel on. And this is probably going to be a very busy hotel because of all the traffic coming through Ogle. A lot of people coming in from Lethem because Lethem Road is not yet complete, but people trying to get to other parts of the country, like Ituni and Baimadai and Lethem, they all have to fly into Ogle to get to the capital city because the roads are not yet completed to those parts. Even to Bartik, I think people fly. So a lot of people will find the possibility of staying at a hotel here at Ogle to be very, very useful. Now this is looking back at the East Coast Bypass Road from where we've come. As you can see, this section of the road has been completed. The surface that has been completed. They've actually even put up the street lights, the light poles have been put up, and they've actually started working on the median. So this area between the two sets of lanes, the southbound and the northbound lanes, is separated by a median and a canal, which is fairly wide. This is the widest I think I've seen. This is actually beginning to look more like an international highway. This is what you would find, for example, on the interstate system in the US or even Germany and parts of Asia, Europe, and so on, because I think I found similar roads like this in Malaysia and even parts of Singapore, although Singapore is quite small to have interstate. So this is beginning to look like it meets international standards. And that's the point we're making in these videos, that most of what is being built does not meet international standards. Thankfully, this road is being built by reputable uh, international companies. Indian company that has built this road is probably utilizing skills from other international projects, and this road meets international standards. The problem, of course, is that it doesn't seem to be communicated. I can't seem to communicate the concept of international standards to my Guyanese audience, especially Guyanese at home, because people are still impressed with what is, in fact, very, very poor and mediocre quality of construction. And the reason is because most people don't know what good quality or what good standards are, and they don't know why you need good standards. Now, let me point out what is good about this road. What is good is that it is very difficult for you to have head-on collisions on a road designed like this, because the separation between northbound and southbound traffic is so wide that even if somebody's speeding and ran off the road, it's very unlikely that they'll end up in the lanes going in the wrong direction and cause a head-on collision. So what is safe about this road is that you are very unlikely to have a head-on collision on this road unless somebody is driving the wrong way, unless, and this happens from time to time, especially with drunk drivers, unless somebody gets onto the road driving in the wrong direction, then it's almost impossible to have a head-on collision. That is safety. And part of that safety comes from designing the road in such a way that you separate the eastbound and westbound lanes, northbound and southbound lanes, so that it is very unlikely that traffic can cross from one side of the road to the other side of the road. So that is what is safe about this road. And unfortunately, that has not been designed into the East Bank bypass road or the East Bank public road or any of those roads. Now, what you find in international and other countries where international standards are recognized is when you build roads that are dual carriageway, that is, mean you have traffic going in two directions, then you have to separate that traffic with what are called jersey barriers. So you have on the East Bank public road jersey barriers up, I think, to Peters Hall or somewhere before there, and then they stop. The problem with that is that beyond Peters Hall or beyond the bridge, you start getting head-on collisions, as for example what happened earlier this year, I think, when a speeding car collided with a truck. But here now, this is the maternity hospital here at Ogle. It seems as if it's very close to completion. Right, a lot of the exterior of the building seems to have been completed here at Ogle. The exterior of the building seems to be completed. This is going to be the hospital for pregnant women, and particularly, I guess, high risk pregnancies, maternity care, and things like, I guess, premature births and so on, intensive care units. That would be the specialty of this hospital. And it's a very, very good idea. As you know, I am, in fact, a medical scientist in that field. So I'm in a position to give you an assessment of medical facilities here. On the other side, this is the Ogle headquarters of Exxon Mobile. So Exxon Mobile has built their headquarters here at Ogle. The building seems to be close to completion, although way in the distance, we can't really see up close. This is what it looks like on the 29th day of March, 2025. That is the headquarters of Exxon Mobile here at Ogle. Now, all of this land in front of it, in front of the headquarters, could also be reserved for, I guess, development, housing development, or parking lots, or seems to me that they might be building another access road. So they're going to have their own access road to get into Ogle, to get into their headquarters. So that is ExxonMobil's headquarters here at Ogle. And they seem to have also made some significant progress. The land east of here, all that land is now in the possession of one Ed Ahmad. So that is the land that is currently being disputed. The government of Guyana says it was acquired, that is, Ed Ahmad has acquired that land fairly. Ed Ahmad, of course, is a convicted felon in real estate fraud and wire fraud in the United States. And he has somehow managed to use, it seems, allegedly, use his proceeds from fraud in the United States to conduct money laundering in Guyana. Otherwise, there's no explanation for the land he's acquired, allegedly. But this is what we're dealing with. The problem is, if you want to deal with real estate, if you want to be able to build in Guyana, you're going to have to find a way to handle these kinds of problems. Problems with acquiring land in an environment where fraud and money laundering is a part of the system. But that's it, guys. That's what's up in this neck of the woods. If you want to see more content like this, click like and subscribe. Share this video with friends and family around the world. Let people know what's happening in the fastest growing country in the world, Guyana. Later!